Okay, this is I realized that with all the things that I say, that I tell you about that could interfere with you curing something, number one, I will only be scratching the surface. And I think it takes a very long time of studying on the web college to find the things that interfere with curing things. Um, because they're in these lessons, and thousands of there are thousands of lessons, but also in each lesson there are all these things that the lesson indicates that maybe it would be good to look for, but doesn't directly say, probably because we had no idea they might be there when we wrote the lesson, even though we were sort of going down a certain path. We didn't get very far. I'll tell you something Isaac Newton said. He was saying that physics is like the ocean, like discovering the depths of the ocean. And all we've done is, so far, when he was talking about, where he was, he said, but we've just stayed on the seashore and played with shells. Picking up shells in the surf. That's our study of physics so far. And so this is, something like most people are just not up to curing, anything meaningful. Like if somebody gets cancer, they're probably better off doing the medical treatment, even though it's going to kill them, because there may be advantages to it. Or, as sometimes the doctor tells you, look, you don't have much of a chance with the medical treatment, so why don't you just, have fun before you die as much as you possibly can. You can probably bear the pain for a while and, visit your kids and stuff, just say goodbye. Wow. So, so with that, like, just to get into something, okay, um, most of the things that are wrong with you, you do not know are there. And you may be a very confronting and forthcoming person, like who is successful, and you can be successful with curing things, and you still don't know most of the things that are wrong with you. I mean, you can be amazingly successful. Like, I was listening to this trader doing an interview, and these trader interviews are really useful. I get a lot out of listening to them. I probably listen to hundreds of traders talk about trading during their interviews, and almost all of them have something really good to contribute. Even the ones I don't enjoy listening to as much, so I don't listen to them or finish their movies. Like, I stop their movies in the middle, but there's still good stuff there. It's just that I try to go with what I enjoy. Listening to traders is my it's my morning recreation. So that's what I do for fun. When I'm driving over to exercise, I put on a trader interview. And, I also put on comedy things and so on, too. Um, anyway, so I was listening to him, and in the middle of what he was talking about, he shared that there was a period where he did pretty well for 6 months at the beginning of a certain year, and then he lost it, just about all of it back. And that was like recently. I think it was maybe the year that he made the interview. So, and he did not seem to know there was anything wrong with that. Like, he wasn't treating it as a symptom of some dysfunction. He was a curable dysfunction anyway. He was talking about how, well, that's the biz, that's the way trading goes sometimes. You have to be ready for that. And while I agree that you do have to be ready for it, that is not the trading business, okay? That is not an acceptable. Franny would, be what's the word? Scandalized, by what he said. Oh, brother. But he simply didn't know that there's something wrong there. He didn't know to look there, to explore that spot, have the doctor look at that lump, whatever, do something about it. And I think, there's this trader named Paul Tudor Jones who pays Tony Robbins to work with him. And he gives Tony Robbins $1 million a year so that he can call him anytime and get something, to set him on course if he feels like he's out of kilter. So, see, there's somebody who really tries to identify symptoms that he may not know what causes it or what it is, or even if there's anything wrong there. But if he has a suspicion, he's a hypochondriac. My father-in-law lived to be 103. And, I was talking about him with Franny, and she said one of the secrets of his longevity is he's a hypochondriac. Like, if he feels like there's anything wrong, he runs to the doctor. And I think one of the things that ended his life was he stopped doing that. He decided, oh, well, they can't do anything for me. So he just, I think he committed suicide by diet. He was quite healthy, and then he started living on non-alcoholic wine, which is sugar. So sugar water and, like, he was eating like cereal and milk in the morning. It's like, he was a sugar junkie. He just turned into a sugar junkie. I guess that's part of the reason why I don't drink anymore. Because beer has, and I don't drink anything else. I never did. I never liked it. See, that's the thing. We have a lot of alcoholic things, bottles and bottles of it, in our pantry. But nobody ever drinks it. We're three people who don't like alcoholic drinks. We have all this liquor, Franny won't throw it away or give it away or whatever. It's just, it's just taking up space. But as far as beer goes, I'm a big fan of beer. But the thing was that I found out that beer has gluten in it. And so what I did after I found that out, I did an experiment. I went and had a non-alcoholic beer. And I discovered that I got as drunk from the non-alcoholic beer as I did from the alcoholic beer, because I was getting drunk on the wheat gluten. That wheat gluten is an addictive substance. It's a kind of it seems like it acts as kind of a tranquilizer or some such thing. But it's not it does not have a good effect. Like being a stock trader is not about like putting yourself to sleep with a beverage. And I don't trade all day, but I do study the market, and I study stock trading all day. So there's no time during the day when I can afford to be inebriated. I'm very ruthless about getting things out of my life that don't work for me. I have a friend who's like that, and that's why, one of the reasons I like her is because I know I can count on her to make the right decision ultimately and eliminate things that are not good for her. Like she recently moved because she wasn't liking where she was living, even though it was a wonderful place. She lived in this, she gets these great places to live, but it was there was a few factors that just weren't good for her, and I didn't tell her to move, but I was watching and wondering what she would do. She moved. So, and she might be out of the frying pan and into the fire, but the only way you can find out is to get out of the frying pan and see if you're in the fire, I guess. Besides, if you jump out of the frying pan and get in the fire, it makes you nice and toasty. Oh boy. So, I have a friend who was talking about sabotaging herself, and I mentioned this to Franny, and Franny said there's no such thing as self-sabotage. It doesn't seem possible. And it might be possible if somebody has internalized a negative entity, or if a person has multiple personalities that are attacking each other. So really, probably anything is possible. And in my defense, I must say that I never said that's impossible. What I said is what Franny said to me when I mentioned it to her. And I don't think Franny is that dogmatic about these things. She's... But see, the thing is, okay, there are other things that can interfere with curing things, and one of them is you haven't identified the cause, and what you think is the cause isn't the cause. So you're trying to cure this other thing that isn't the cause, or maybe can't be cured. Like if you have internalized a negative entity, see, one thing you can do is just test, if I internalized a negative entity. And another one is, what was the other thing? Oh, am I a multiple personality schizophrenic? I don't know if you could test that. You might find that you probably could cure a multiple personality disorder by discovering where you find it impossible to test. And in those places, just test through that till you don't get switched there anymore. Or basically, You know, one way to cure either self-sabotage, if it exists, or a multiple personality disorder is to just do the basic prayers, just saying things you want and testing them. If you can't test for it, like I have a friend, the other day I was at his house and I said, just test, I want to enjoy this day. And he couldn't get a signal on it. So, and then he got wise to it. I didn't say anything, but he got wise to it. He just said, you know what? He said, I think maybe I really don't want to enjoy this day. I want to be miserable. And that was his big step forward to curing it. And, just as using myself as an example, I've been recording my trades for 2 months. With Greg, we trade together. And Franny sometimes trades with us, but lately she hasn't been showing up for work. But she did a good job of coaching us, and she still does when we do meet and get together, and she will meet if I ask her to. But I seem to be flying pretty well, so I haven't actually asked her for the last week or so. But anyway, so we recorded these trades. Greg actually writes them down in a book, and Franny gave us ledger paper. So we made a book using ledger paper and manually are recording our trades. There was this trader I was listening to who talked about recording his trades, and he had a computer program that stuck the trades in an Excel spreadsheet. This was long ago, like maybe 20 years. And then he said that he went back to writing them down manually because he was just missing the trade, the reality of it. It makes it real to write it down. Anyway, I was looking at this book of 2 months worth of trades over, and we had like a hockey stick improvement. We were going along for 5 weeks, doing like a few $100s a week, and then all of a sudden we did that same amount plus 1,000 for 3 weeks straight. And it wasn't the market. I do not think the market changed that much. It seems like I'm really going to have to go back and try to dig down into what made that change. Because it's a good thing to know.